Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, back on the channel today for another opposition view. For the third and final time this season, we are going to be playing Spurs once again in one of probably the weakest battles for Europe we've ever seen. Both teams every week seem to just surrender it to the other one, and then the other one doesn't take advantage of it. But we're joined by the lads again from We Are Tottenham TV. Lads, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thanks for having us back on. Always good to play Everton. I mean, hopefully it's third time lucky this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully we get a better result than last. Was it 5-4 last time?
5-4 in the cup at Goodison. I think, what was it, 2-0? 1-0 at first game of the season. So, look, it's got to be third time lucky. That's all I'm putting my hopes to.
Well, I'm hoping not. It seems like this one is probably going to be the one that matters anyway. I mean, the start of the season seems so long ago now. The FA Cup, we went out in the next round anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But now, obviously, you find yourselves in seventh. There's one point that separates us. We do have that game in hand against Aston Villa that hasn't even been rescheduled yet, so we don't even know about that one. But what have you actually made of your season up to now? It seems to have kind of gone up and down in a bit of a roller coaster at times,
to say the least.
Yeah, look, I mean, it all started. I was about to say it started very well, but it didn't start very well because we played you lot and you beat us quite convincingly, only 1-0, albeit in the first game of the season. But after that, we really seemed to kick on. We went top of the league. In the first couple of months of the season, everything was looking rosy. We were playing good football. We were scoring goals. We weren't conceding very many. And then something just took a turn for the worse, and just the mentality in the squad just got shot, and we just couldn't buy a win for ages. We couldn't. I think it went like 12, 13 games. We literally didn't win a game.
No, I don't think that's not true.
No?
We did not win a game for 13. I think we won like 2 or 3 in 13.
All right, so we basically didn't win a game for 12, 13 games. And I don't know, man. And just like I've been on a roller coaster myself in terms of whether I love Jose, whether I hate Jose, whether I love this squad, whether I hate this squad. I mean, it's just been, for me, it's been a dire season. When you put in, no pun intended, by the way, it's been a dire season when you put in the FA Cup, going out to you guys in the earlier rounds, going out to Zagreb in the Europa League. That's the big one for me. Obviously, we got a cup final to attend with in a couple of weeks' time, and there is an very outside chance of top 4. But ultimately, for me, it's not been good enough this season. Before this season, I wanted a trophy and top 4. Top 4 doesn't really look that likely anymore. And the trophy I wanted, the Carabao Cup would have been the bottom of the list, to be honest. I know beggars can't be choosers, but I wanted the Europa League.
Yeah, it's just fallen apart our season. At one point, we were fighting on all fronts, so everything looked good, and then it's just fallen apart very, very quickly. And the football we've played, especially recently, has been so bad, and that has, I think, turned a lot of fans. I think, going January, February, most fans were still on side with everything. But the way things have gone over the past couple of months has been pretty inexcusable, especially when you consider how we got outplayed by Newcastle and got dumped out after leading 2-0 against Zagreb. Those were just unacceptable performances, which that's when you start questioning if the players are really on side at this point, because those results or performances don't happen if they are. So that's a big question mark going from now to the end of the season. Everything's up in the air, and it's going very badly. But, things change very quickly in football. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there, Ben, that obviously Jose Mourinho, he always causes polarising opinions wherever he goes. But for anyone who, hasn't paid too much attention, is it kind of typical Jose now that we've seen for the past couple of seasons? We saw it at United, or are there new problems that's maybe making it seem like you are going to potentially miss out on Champions League this season?
I mean, I don't think it's anything new. I think it's the old Jose Mourinho rearing his head again. I think that, we've seen at Chelsea, we've seen at Man United, we've seen at other clubs that when his time is done, there's usually a grey cloud that kind of descends over the club. And that's exactly what's happening right now with Tottenham. I think that there's just a really bad mood around the place. Fans aren't happy. The players don't seem to be happy. The manager doesn't seem to be happy. And it's just a really hard moment to take at the moment. And, at the beginning of the season when we were top of the league, everyone's like, oh, yeah, we got a winner as our manager. Things are going really good. But that old Jose Mourinho's ugly head has reared itself again.
It's classic. When things are going well, everything's great. And then when things are not going well, then everything seemed awful. And that's especially when we play, some of the football we've been playing has been as bad as it has been. It's easy for fans to turn against the manager, especially when the football's that bad. And which it has been a lot of the time. So I think at the moment, Jose is not helping himself at all. He's not being helped by a lot of the players, but he's not helping himself. And that's the main thing. And yeah, our defense might not be good enough, but our attack is more than good enough to be better than where it is. And that's where the big issues are.
The thing is with Jose, I actually think he's a good manager. I still think he's a good manager, but I think that a big part of obviously management is man management. And I think his footballing side, I think it's actually still good, but I think that his man management skills are outdated. And I think that the new kind of version of football player doesn't respond well to the way Jose Mourinho kind of man manages players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw that, with the likes of Luke Shaw at Manchester United, definitely. And it seems to be happening once again. And this is probably a bit of a touchy subject. We saw last night, Pochettino's made it back to a Champions League semi-final. No, it does seem to be...
strolling down my face last night.
So I saw you retweet that tweet again, obviously, that you tweeted about Pochettino quite a while ago. It's probably quite difficult to look back on, but we won't dwell on that. Instead, we'll dwell on potentially Harry Kane leaving in the summer instead.
Thanks a lot, mate.
The rumours have obviously come
out. That thing with Pochettino last night was watching like an ex, like with a new shiny boyfriend. You know what I mean? That's what it was like. But in terms of Harry Kane, I think that, look, the guy deserves to be fighting on all fronts. He deserves to be fighting for the top honours, Premier League, Champions League. And if we can't give that to him, then I'm going to have a big problem with him leaving, but I'll understand it completely. And I won't be one of these people that begrudge him for leaving. It's not the kind of same with other players that have left in the past. I think Harry Kane, literally, he's been so good to us. He's been our top player in the Premier League for so long now, and he deserves to be fighting on all fronts. And he's said many a time, if this club is not pushing in the right direction, he'll have to think about things. And I think he needs to think about things right now, because we're not going in the right direction right now as it stands.
If we end up in the UEFA Conference League, it's just a disrespect to Harry Kane. It really is. Yeah. He doesn't deserve to be playing in that kind of competition.
He doesn't deserve the Europa League, never mind the Conference League.
Exactly. He's too good for those competitions. He deserves to be challenging for Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues. That's where he deserves to be. That's where he wants to be. And if we can't give that to him, then there's no reason for him to stay or want to stay. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for him to leave in this current climate. A big club is going to have to shed out a lot of money for him. But if they do, I don't think any Spurs fan could begrudge him leaving at all, because that's where he deserves to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And my next question, we were going to start talking about the best and worst player for Tottenham this season. I can imagine who the best two probably are. It's Son and Harry Kane, of course. But maybe who's disappointed you a bit this season? Where's some of the problems lay? In terms of personnel, anyway.
Where do you want me to start?
The whole back line.
Matt Doherty, absolutely shocking signing in my opinion.
Terrible.
I think he's been terrible. Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, they've been terrible this season. Harry Winks, he hasn't had a good season. I think he's had a really bad season. Dele Alli obviously hasn't got on the pitch much, but when he hasn't pulled up any trees. Look, there's been a lot of players, but I think the most disappointing for me has been Matt Doherty.
Yeah, absolutely. From the outside looking in, it seemed like he was, a really good sign. It was only 15 million or something. He had a really good time with Wolves. But is it the system that maybe let him down? Obviously, he was used to playing in that back five at Wolves, and now he's asked to be played as a right back.
Yeah, we thought it might be the system, which is the system definitely hasn't helped him, that's for sure. But we have played a back five occasionally. And even when he's played in the back five, it's still been the same. And maybe he needs a consistent run of games in that system to really see the best of him. But unfortunately, he's not going to get that luxury, because we have too many good attacking players be playing five at the back all the time. That's the truth of the matter. So we can't revolve our team around Matt Doherty. That's just not going to be happening. And when he's played in the back four, he's been nowhere near the player we saw at Wolves. Nowhere near. That's the truth. He's not been able to get forward as effectively as he used to do. And defensively, I think he's always had a problem. But he's only just been exposed now at Tottenham, because he's had to defend a lot more than he did at Wolves when he was playing in a back five. So it's a big issue. It's a big issue, the right back slot. And Aurier as well started the season well, but he's fallen off it as well. So we have a real problem at right back. And you look back to a few years ago, we had Walker and Trippier as our right back options. And now it's Aurier and Doherty. Literally, our sub right back from 3 years ago is better than our first choice right back now. And that's the sad reality of the situation.
Yeah, obviously a player that we were kind of battling for in the summer, Højbjerg. He had a very tricky opening day of the season against us, but since then he's been very good, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I think that, like you said, his first game of the season for us was poor against you. Alan really outshone him. But I think that as the season's worn on, I think I think he's proved to be one of the best signings of the season, in my opinion. I think that he's done really well. That midfield general that we've really needed in the middle there for quite a while. Look, he does have his flaws, but I'm really happy with the way his season's gone so far.
Yeah, it definitely seemed very, very satisfying from an Everton fan's perspective on the first day of the season. Obviously, we missed out on him, got Allen, but then, since then it does seem like he has performed brilliantly. And just to come back to the game in general, obviously we mentioned it briefly at the start last time you were on the channel. It was with James, and you previewed the FA Cup game, which was chaos from start to finish. But what have you made of Everton's season since then?
I mean, for me, Everton have been very up and down, very inconsistent from what I've seen. I think that they're very similar to Spurs in the terms of the way they play, quite defensive, quite pragmatic. They only really go for it against like the bottom half teams. When you're playing against top half teams, you always kind of sit back and try and hit him on the counter, and it's not very open and expansive. And I think Ancelotti's done okay, but I think it's pretty much par. You're eighth in the table at the moment. At the beginning of the season, I think a lot of Everton fans were dreaming of a proper top four chase, and obviously they're still in it with 7 points, a bit out of it, but they're still there and thereabouts. But I would say at the beginning of the season, like Calvert-Lewin, Rodriguez, and Richarlison, and that looked like a real potent front three. But hasn't quite turned out like that, I don't think, for the majority of the season. I think James has blown hot and cold, especially during the winter, although he's coming back into form now. Calvert-Lewin started like a house on fire, but it's kind of like he's still banging in the goals, but he's not like as much as he was at the beginning of the season. And then Richarlison has had, by his standards, I would say, a poor season. So I'd say
he's come into a bit of late, though.
Yeah, of late he has. So I'd say Everton are doing okay. I think they're just about par for what kind of squad they have. I think 8th is pretty much where that squad. It's not overachieving. It's not underachieving. I think I think he's improved the team from where they were last season. But I don't know if it will be enough to get. Definitely not Champions League. Could you sneak into Europa League potentially? But still, that's outsiders at the moment.
As long as they finish above Liverpool, they'll be happy. How many points are you behind Liverpool now? Is it 4 points?
Yes. Well, obviously we still got that game in hand, whenever that might be. But yeah, but I mean, it's not even just pride that anymore. It's about European places all of a sudden. Where I didn't expect to be battling Liverpool for Europa League spot really at this point in the season, but still, it's decent to see. But in terms of kind of personnel as well, again. There's a lot of Spurs players who you naturally who are going to be the first name on the team sheet. But what kind of lineup can we expect to see going into this game?
It's an interesting one because we seem to have a different setup at the back every single week. So I think we'll go 4-2-3-1. I do think that. I think in goal obviously will be Hugo Lloris. Left back will be Reguilon. Reguilon's an interesting one because I think he's had a really good first half of the season, but I haven't been that impressed with him in the second half of the season, especially his defensive work. Be Reguilon on the left. On the right, probably be either Tanganga or Aurier. Both of them pretty much had poor games last times they played. But if it was up to me, I'd probably stick with Aurier, to be honest. Centre-back positions is also an interesting one because Toby Alderweireld seems to have been banished from the first team at the moment. Not sure what's going on there. He is our best centre-back at the squad, so I'm not too sure who's going to play centre-back. Last game, Dyer played. It was the first game he played in ages, and he didn't really do himself any favours to kind of stay in that team. So I think centre-back positions, I think Joe Rodon is definitely going to play, and it depends who partners him. So it'll either be Sanchez, Dyer, or Toby, one of the three. Double pivot will 100% be Højbjerg and Ndombele. Left-hand side of the attack, 100% be Son, and then up top, Harry Kane. And then you've got the two other positions, the right wing and number 10, which will probably be Lamella and Lucas I'm going to go for. So I think it will be a strong lineup. I think if we go with the same mentality that we did in the FA Cup against you, I think that we can get something, but the team just seems to be drained of confidence at the moment.
Yeah, and just kind of in your guys' opinion, how significant is this game now? Because it seems like all season, Everton fans at least have been saying, oh, this is a must-win now, but everyone's still in and around the same positions regardless. I mean, we've drawn our last games against Brighton and Crystal Palace, both very disappointing results, despite what injuries we've had. But, I mean, have we got to the point now where these games are ridiculously significant? Or do you think even no matter what happens, everyone's still in with a chance come the end of the season?
With 7 games to go, and Spurs being 6 points behind top four, which is where we would need to be. Everton being 7 points off top four. I think top six is probably where Everton's aim for, not being disrespectful. I'm pretty sure you'd be happy with the top six finish this season. So that's why you're 3 points behind that. So I'd say,
give or take.
So I'd say for Spurs, this is definitely a must-win. I would say if we don't win this game and say West Ham beat Newcastle, that's 9 point gap with 6 games to go, and that's pretty much unrecoverable. So it really is a must win in that sense. I think from Everton's point of view, they could afford to probably lose this and still be in the hunt for top 6. So I don't think it's as detrimental, although if you do lose and you do fall like 6 points behind, then it does look increasingly unlikely that you will get that top 6 spot. But I would say it's definitely more of a must win for Spurs, seeing as we're a bit further away from our goal than Everton at the moment.
Yeah, but you're completely right in saying that every game we go into it saying it's a must win, and every game we don't win.
It's also true.
And every game we don't win, we're getting further and further away. Like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we were 2 points outside the top 4. Now we're 6 points outside the top 4. So
then in February we were 9 points outside the top
true.
4.
That's also
true. We closed it down.
But now it's opening up again.
Exactly.
But I think that in terms of this game, this is our hardest game until the last game of the season. So if we can win this game, I do actually back us to go on a bit of a run after, because we got teams like Sheffield United. I think Leeds we've got as well, who we really taught a footballing lesson to last time we played them. So look, I think we've got a good run of fixtures after we play you. So if we can beat you, we can really kick on. And I think that there is a slight opportunity for top 4 if we do beat you. If we don't beat you, I just can't see it.
Yeah, and just to round off the video, we always have a two questions at the end. First one, any score predictions?
Oh, God. I predicted a loss last week against Man U, and I think that was the first loss I predicted on the channel this season. I'm going to go for 1-1.
I think there'll be goals in this one. I think both teams will see this as an opportunity to get 3 points. A bit like the FA Cup game, I can see a bit of to and fro. I'm going to go for 3-2 Spurs.
3-2 Spurs. Yeah. Come on.
That sounds like a very, very open game for Ancelotti versus Mourinho again, which is
well, look at the FA Cup game. Think about that one.
Yeah. That was very uncharacteristic. But then, actually, at the end of all of our videos, as well, we always like to ask a random question. We've done favourite chocolate bar, favourite films in the past. Today, lads, what's your favourite packet of crisps?
Oh, I'm a big crisp man. Much more than a chocolate man. So this is a very difficult one. I've got so many. I think I've got to go squares, though. I've got to go salt and vinegar squares.
Oh, you don't see many people go for a square, so that is quite interesting. Actually.
Really? I thought squares would be very popular.
Yeah,
squares
so do I.
Oh, I don't know anyone who likes squares.
Oh, who are you talking to?
Do you not like salt and vinegar up north?
I like all those green Doritos you can get in Israel. What flavour? You know that flavour they are?
Oh, God, I don't know. Chili, something
chili.
No,
it's chili. It's not Thai chili, though. It's like... I don't know what it is. It's harif flavour.
I don't know.
It's like chili flavoured Doritos. You can only get them in Israel, though. They're like this green packet. They're my favourite. I can't remember what exactly flavour they are.
Just type in green Doritos. You'll find them.
You'll find
them. Brilliant. If I'm ever passing through Israel, I'll be sure to look for a packet. But I mean, lads, as always, thank you very much for coming on. It's always a great insight. And I mean, from our perspective, I'm hoping for a good Everton result. But regardless, there's still 7 games left. Who knows where we're all going to be come the end of the season. So, thank you very much for coming on. And thank you all very much for watching. So be sure to leave us a comment down below what your predictions are for the game. And let's see where we are this time next week. So thank you very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.